to Good Talk. I have an amazing nurse that I met actually Wear Figs campaign, and we just hit it off. And he's amazing, and we actually work in the same town in sunny San Diego. And he's also a traveler. So, Jake, tell me about yourself.
So I am a nurse who started out in Chicago and then decided I wanted to start travel nursing just to experience different hospitals and just gain new experiences living in different cities. And so I started travel nursing about 2 years ago, and I ended up in San Diego.
I haven't been to Chicago, but I really want to go. I'm really curious how Chicago is in the winter, actually. Is it really cold?
Yeah, some people are you. I mean, unless it is cold. It's not so much the brutality of the cold. It's the length of the cold. Like
Oh,
from November to sometimes it lingers on to March or April, and you're like, oh my god, snow in April, I can't deal with this anymore. So that's kind of the downside, but it's perfect. It's a great city. It's clean. It's a smaller, more manageable New York, and it's right on the lake, so it kind of feels like you're on the ocean. So there's like a lot of people don't know there's a ton of beaches in Chicago, so it's great.
oh, that's awesome. Wow. I need to go. I just need to go. So, Jake is a traveler, and I wanted to know more about travelers because, A, we have travelers in our ER, and they're the most amazing people, and they know everything. And I love that they're so diverse. Oh, we've done this before in the other hospital I went to, or we did this, or we did that. So I just love when travelers are in my ER, and they're so humble and so kind, and I love them, and I love Jake. So I want to know more about travelers, especially people that are thinking of going that route.
I think traveling is an amazing opportunity for nursing. There are, like with any profession, there are a bunch of pros and cons. Some of the pros of traveling are getting to experience new cities, and like I say, buy before you shop. So you can experience a hospital without getting involved in all the hospital bureaucracies and politics because you don't have to attend all the meetings. You don't have to go, you don't have to get involved with management. You're there as a traveler for a 13-week contract. Typically, contracts are 13 weeks, but some are shorter and some are longer based on the agency. 13 weeks, one of orientation essentially, and then you have to do all your onboarding, like when you start a new hospital, you do all the e-learnings. So that's kind of 1 week of that, and then you get 2 shifts just to shadow, just to kind of figure out where things are, but then they throw you immediately into it. So the number one question I get on my social media page is, how can I just go straight into travel nursing? I have so many followers for nursing school that want to just jump into travel nursing, and the answer is no, you cannot just jump into travel nursing because you are filling a void in that hospital system. You are filling a void in their employment. They need you to fill that void, and they expect you to know what you're doing and just jump right into it, which is why, like you said, these nurses come with so much experience because they've done it before and they've traveled to different hospitals, and you have to be super open-minded and adaptable.
That's absolutely true. So I've read online that is it 2 year minimum, or is that just kind of meh?
Minimum 1 year. A lot of hospitals, like accredited institutions, especially magnet institutions, will not take you without 2 years. I kind of got lucky. I really couldn't wait any longer. I was ready to do it. So I did mine in a year and a half. And I had charge nurse experience, and I just had really good letters of recommendation from my managers. And luckily, I was able to push with that year and a half. But I strongly wouldn't suggest anyone to do it with any less than a year because you're still learning. You don't want to be a reactive nurse who's only reacting to things that are going wrong. You want to be a proactive nurse by the time you start traveling.
That's great. I love, well, like I said, I know you, Jake, and you're such an amazing nurse. And I couldn't imagine having like people would recommend you. Of course they would. Like, you're amazing.
Mhm.
Yes, but I like that the minimum, like you said, it's about 2 years, and I agree. I mean, you're a new nurse; you don't want to be thrown out there with the sharks. But you also, it's like you said, it's about 12 weeks, or is it 15 weeks? Usually is your contract.
So the agency I signed with, and a lot of agencies that I know about are usually typically 13.
Oh,
It really depends. There are some as short as maybe 4, but typically 13 weeks. And I would say one of those weeks is onboarding, doing e-learnings, orientation, and then the other 12 is working on the floor or the unit that you're assigned to.
do travelers make a little bit more of money, or how does that go?
Like nursing, especially outside of California. I mean, even in California, nurses just don't make a lot of money for what we do. And I was struggling in Chicago. I went into this profession because I really did want to make a difference. And my mom was sick, so I really wanted to do it for her to give back to all the nurses who helped take care of her. But at the end of the day, I was like struggling to make ends meet. I was getting 2 paychecks a month. One paycheck was going directly to rent, and then I had the other one to like do student loans, bills, food, just literally just cost of living. And I was struggling. So I was just tired. I was picking up so many extra shifts. I was working 4 or 5 shifts a week on my home unit. With travel nursing, the benefit is the pay. There's something called a tax-free housing stipend. If you are traveling more than a certain mileage away from your home, typically it's I think 50 or 100 miles away from where your home address is, you're considered a traveler. So you are traveling to work. So just like any consultant would be traveling, they have to accommodate your housing. So you can either choose to get housing from the agency. However, if you opt out of getting that housing and you find your own housing, you will get a tax-free housing and living stipend added to your paycheck weekly. And that's actually where most of the pay comes from because
Oh,
it's not taxed. So what the trick is to take the lowest hourly pay. I would take like a $20 hourly pay, if not lower, the lowest hourly pay because that's the money that's getting taxed, and you take the largest housing stipend because that's the money that's not getting taxed. And there are contracts out there that I've seen upwards of $4,000 a week, depending on what specialty you are in and how bad the need is in that city.
oh my goodness, that's pretty amazing. Maybe I should do that. I'm like, wow. Um, I love that it's the housing and the take home pay, but it's also a con is that you're just doing all these fun adventures, right? You do 3 months in one city and then you go to another city and do 3 months there. So you're actually exploring the country in a sense. So people that
Yeah,
enjoy doing that, that would be fun, right?
it really depends on the personalities. Some people don't want to move every 3 months or live out of a suitcase and a couple boxes and just out of their car. So it really depends on your personality type. One of the cons can be that you're away from family, that you're homesick, that you're missing your support system. Those can be cons too. And it's hard to make friends if you're constantly on the go. The other thing that people have to realize is that some travel contracts will extend you if they still need you and they like you. However, some hospitals will feel that while you're there, they're trying to hire full-time nurses, so they might feel that need and might not need you anymore. So it's there's I've worked with travel nurses who have fallen in love with San Diego and then they didn't get re-signed.
So is there a lot of contracts that can be canceled?
That's another con. I think what's really important because there is like this whole glamour of travel nursing and the adventures and like moving city and city and exploring and making new friends. But there are some cons. And one, when you're reviewing your contract, it's super important to read the fine details because there is something called guaranteed hours. So when I signed my contract with San Diego, I was guaranteed 36 hours a week, so 3 shifts. However, some contracts say zero guaranteed hours. So you might not get any shifts that week if they are fully staffed, or you might get one shift a week. So even though they were telling you you might be making $4,000 take home every week, if you're only getting that one shift a week, you're not going to get that take home pay because it's based on the hours you fulfill.
Oh, okay. Because I
And
saw that when I was in New York that some of the contracts were canceled, and I didn't know anything about that. I didn't know. I've never been a traveler myself. I just went out there to help out, but and I think a lot of people were upset about it. So that makes sense to me now.
Yeah. So it's always important to review the contract, make sure you have the what guaranteed hours you're expecting. Because the other thing is if they don't guarantee your full 3 shifts a week, they might put you on call. And that's the worst part about being on call 2 or 3 times a week is that you have to stay up and you have to stay home. You can't go anywhere, but you might not ever get called in. So it's just a matter of reviewing your contract. If you have a good travel agent, they'll go over all of that with you.
Oh, that's awesome. So to wrap things up, what would be your recommendation on some travel companies?
Okay, so I think Host Healthcare is a really great company. You want to go with a company that's medium sized because they have their hands on a lot of contracts throughout the state, so they can likely get you in a city that you want to go. The other thing about travel nursing is like you don't have to go anywhere you don't want to. You don't sign with agency and they just place you wherever you want. You have a say in where you want to go. Host Healthcare is actually based in San Diego. I love them. And then another one is Trusted Health. They're a startup from SF and they kind of cut out the middleman. So the pay rates are a little higher because they don't have like an agent negotiating for you. You kind of do it on your own, but it just depends on how much paperwork you want to do because then you have to do all that yourself and you don't have your agent doing it for you.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I read up that there was a lot of paperwork, and then you also different multiple state license as well that take a while and to do all that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Like I said, I love traveler nurses, and I especially love them in my ER just because they know so much more. And I've done that computer system. Oh, you want to talk about art lines? I did that in my last hospital. I mean, it was just, I love travelers. They're just so well rounded, I want to say. And just like you, Jake, you're just an amazing nurse. And I love seeing you and talking to you. And I'm so excited that we get to do this together on our YouTube channel. So please, guys, subscribe and learn more about nursing through Good Talk. Thank you, Jake. We'll talk to you soon.